he's been in business since 2003. It runs in his family, and he's such a hard worker and stuff. So, and he's always helping his family, like, to help get their own authority. Like, he'll let them lease on for a while and help them out until they can get on their feet and get their own authority.
Okay.
So he's done that with two family members. He's helped out friends. Like, he's just a good person all around,
That was the voice of El Paso headquartered Messina Holguin, speaking to some of the reasons she nominated her husband, owner-operator Rene Holguin, and his R&M transportation business for Overdrive's 2024 Truck of the Year Award. I'm Todd Dills, and today on the Overdrive Radio podcast edition for October 14th, 2024, we're going to dive into Overdrive News editor Matt Cole's conversation with Holguin about his history in trucking, which stretches back to about the turn of the century. If you missed Cole's story about Holguin a few weeks back now, find a link to it in the show notes and in the post that houses this podcast for overdriveonline.com/overdrive-radio. Or listen on to hear that story from Holguin directly. Messina, too. Though she works herself outside of trucking, she's also intimately involved in back-office aspects of the business, which Rene and Messina Holguin have operated with authority out of El Paso, Texas now for more than 2 decades. The pair have been together themselves for almost 3.
We just hit our 28-year, it'll be in November, 28 years. We started it together, but since it's a sole proprietor, it was only his name.
Right.
And that's where the M in R&M transportation is.
Okay.
They've learned a lot through the years, and Rene Holguin's made big strides in DIY maintenance in recent years as expenses have mounted and rates have lagged to the truck he's owned now for the entirety of his time with authority, a 2000 Kenworth W900L. His best piece of advice to new or aspiring owner-operators is of a piece with those maintenance strides.
Be ready to work. Get ready to get your hands dirty, Just try to keep your truck out of the shop as much as you can. Do as much as you can to it. A lot of these guys want to take it, take these big name, shops and truck stops and this and that. It's just got to do a lot yourself. Jump in and get dirty.
He's pulling a flatbed with the rig today. It's a looker for sure, as you can see in Cole's feature about R&M transportation. Likewise, the cover image for this podcast.
I got a 2000 W900L stretch wheelbase maximizer right now. I've owned her she was 2 years old when I got her. I got it in 2001, 2, so about 22 years now. I got an N14, the Select Plus, the N14 Cummins.
Mm-hmm.
I got everything on it. I got a bunch of PDI upgrades on it, and all the bells and whistles. It's a big boy toy. You can get out there, and she's flashy. She get up there and runs with all the new ones nowadays. I stretched the wheelbase. I got a 315-inch wheelbase nowadays. I got the tall stacks, or the visor. I got everything, I'm one of them head turners out here. You see me coming down the road and you're gonna turn ahead, I kind of like showing off.
On the other side of a break for a word from Overdrive Radio's sponsor, we'll dive into September Trucker of the Month, Rene Holguin's trucking origin story, which stretches all the way back to his childhood. So keep tuned.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Ho, ho, hold on a minute. Little early, huh? But not too early to get your engine ready for colder weather. Start treating now with Howe's Diesel Treat, so you're ready when those temps plummet. You see, using Diesel Treat at every fill-up will not only prevent gelling, but will add power and performance while keeping your fuel system clean and free of water. Learn more at howesproducts.com.
That's HOWES, howesproducts.com. Keep an eye out, too, this week for news of Howe's most recent inductee into the Howe's Hall of Fame, recognizing people and businesses of note among trucking and agricultural industries. Find that news at overdriveonline.com. Okay, here's Rene Holguin, harking back to his boyhood around trucking, spread widely around his extended family. Here we go.
I guess you could say I was bred into it. My grandfather owned trucks, was led to my dad working and having trucks himself, and I I've always been around the trucks. I was fascinated with them since I was a little kid, and putting lights here and there, and just taking them out around the farm and stuff, and driving them around at a very young age, 8, 9 years old. I think I was already driving them around the neighborhood and stuff. And I just took a fascination since then, and worked for an outfit for the longest time for a few years, and then I bought my own and been at it ever since.
How long had you been driving when you decided to go out on your own and buy your own truck?
I bought my own truck in, I think it was 2002, 2003. I don't know exact year.
Okay.
That's when I ventured out and said it was time to do my own thing. Bought myself a Freightliner Classic and upgraded from there.
Did you lease on with another carrier in the early stages there? Or did you go straight into your own authority?
At the early stages, I leased on with a cousin for maybe about a year or so. But it was always my dream to have my name on the side of the door, so that was the big push on that end for doing my own authority. I think 2003, I have calendars there at the house when I had made some magnetic calendars. I think 2003 was the first year that I actually did my own authority.
You've obviously seen the highs and lows of the trucking market. What's kept you going through the Great Recession, and then the high points we saw, and then again another low point here in the last few years. What's been able to keep you going?
I guess the drive of keeping my family fed is the biggest focal point, and just keep the wheels turning, and doing a lot of maintenance myself, a lot of ins and outs, trying to keep it out of the big shops, doing a lot of what I can, a little. Well, how does that Ricky Bobby say? You need a little stupid cowboy in everybody. You know what I mean? Just get stuff done yourself, and save yourself a lot of money at the end of the day. And I guess when the high was high, it was good. And I think a lot of us got used to that high and kind of stayed on that high. And just living within your means. We're not gonna get rich at this gig. We ain't gonna get rich at it by no means. I've tried year after year, but just kind of got to come to terms with yourself and live within your means.
Yeah.
Drive that old pickup truck and don't go too extravagant. Have the wife with a nice vehicle, and you drive that old pickup every day. Kind of levels out the finances pretty well.
Coming out of the high point right after COVID, that is there anything in the business that you've had to change to adapt to the kind of what's been the normal of the last 2.5, 3 years?
I can say for sure my eating habits. I guess I cook a lot more in the truck and bring a lot more groceries in the truck. That's the biggest thing, because I guess first off, a lot of these places were close to us, and we would, have to go stand outside and, get a bag tossed at us, kind of like we're dogs, Yeah. And we were quote unquote essential workers, but then I guess you got to get used to it. You go sit down at any restaurant, any fast food or whatever, any restaurant, you go sit down now. Nowadays, you're going to spend at least $25, $30, for a halfway decent meal, So I guess on that end, you save money in every way you can, just I guess, just coming off that big high. And like I said, also maintenance, do a lot of it yourself, and YouTube is a good learning point. If you don't know what you're doing, kind of get a good idea, jump into stuff.
Did you have much of a maintenance background growing up around trucks? Around your family's businesses and stuff?
I did, but you can write a book about how things are supposed to be done until, you just don't know exactly what you're doing until you jump in it and have to do it. That's the biggest thing, is at the shop, you got the mechanic there, you got this and that, you got always the peace of mind that, okay, well, if it's not fixed today, we'll still sleep in our bed at night. You know what I mean? Well, once you're on the side of the road and got to fix your own truck, and just actual hands-on the side of the road, or in a back parking lot of a truck stop, really gets a man, gets motivate a man to upward his skills, his toolbox a little bit better and stuff.
Having the Cummins N14 under the hood helps in his ability to develop that DIY sensibility when it comes to maintenance, owner-operator Holguin noted. Here's how he put it.
Yeah, you stay away from all this computer stuff, I know nowadays sensors, any kind of little sensor goes out, and it just throws you back that much farther, So I guess everything being, not everything, but a lot of the stuff is mechanical, and I can kind of diagnose it. You know what I mean? I hear something ticking. I've been in this truck for so long. I hear something ticking a different way, and it just catches my attention quick, and I kind of know which direction to go with it. My oil change, I do it every 10,000 miles, give or take a couple thousand here or there, and what we're doing on the weekend.
Yeah.
Preventive maintenance, I guess, brakes and all that, everything, I get under my truck, grease it once a week. When we're back home, I grease it once a week. And, once you're laying down underneath the truck, you just kind of start looking at different things, start looking at a whole lot of different things, and notice broken stuff or loose stuff. And I guess it kind of keeps you out of the bad pages at the scale house, And, you see something wrong, fix it, fix it quick, or fix it before it breaks. I guess just being in the trucking business, you kind of know the time frame of, say, a air compressor is going to go out, or, an injector is going to go out, doing overheads. And just knowing your truck, just knowing the different sounds of it, just not being oblivious to what's going on around your surroundings, just be noise sensitive, eye sensitive, feely touchy, like I got a good theory, if a steering wheel starts shaking, you're going to need steer tires. If your ass starts shaking, it's going to be something in the differential rear end area, of your truck. If everything starts shaking, you're going to need like drives, or, you just got to know, be a little bit of common sense goes a long way.
There's a real sense of resourcefulness you get from owner-operator Holguin, born not just of his experience and his childhood rearing around trucks and trucking, but perhaps of years of flatbedding and the unique nature of every single load, particularly when it comes to securement.
I do flatbed nowadays. There's no appointments. There's no backing up in the docks. There's no lumpers. It's just we do flatbed. Anything that pays halfway decent. I ain't gonna say anything that pays good, because nowadays rates are in the garbage can. But we'll put anything on the trailer that fits on there and it pays well. When I got my authority, that's what I've done. But I've done a little bit of everything. We've done cattle, we've done dry van, we've done reefer, a little bit of pneumatic tankers. Like I said, we got our feet wet about it every which way. But I guess this is the least hectic, with appointment wise. And I work with brokers. I do have some brokers that I or on a text basis, you know what I mean? I kind of do my round, I kind of do a big triangle every week, and if I know I'm going in their area and I know they got freight, I'll shoot them a text and they'll shoot me back a text, and I don't got to be calling around as much as other guys do. Direct customers, I do not. I just don't want that headache of, we need this now. I like to do my own thing, I hate the pressure nowadays, they tell me they want it yesterday, and I'm going to just sit on it even more, But it's just one of those things. I just don't want the overhead of having to go when they say this load got to be there on the 26th of December. I want to be home on the 25th through the 28th, as everybody else. But I just don't want that overhead, I guess. It's a big kick in the pocket sometimes, but, it just don't have that overhead. Like I said, it got to go. We live out of El Paso, the outskirts of El Paso, Texas there. So we just, I usually try to hit the Midwest, go up into Kansas City, St. Louis area, Chicago, head on back down to Dallas, even Arkansas area. And, work my way back into El Paso, Arizona, just kind of keep that triangle going there. When my boys were in high school, they're out of high school now and in college, but when they were in high school and had their sports, my drive was to be there for their sports.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be, I kind of got in my head, I didn't want to be that dad that I should have, could have, would have,
Absolutely.
So I guess being your own boss, you kind of buy yourself a job. You don't have to go where they tell you to go. You go where you want to go when you need to go. So I scheduled and I still do. I used to schedule my week around my boys' activities. Now I schedule it around my activities I got at home and church functions and stuff.
You've been an owner-operator for a long time now, and like I mentioned, we talked about a little bit earlier, you've seen the highs and lows. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced, during the last 23, 24 years, and, how have you gotten through them?
Biggest challenge was, I guess, leaving the family behind every week. Leaving is the hardest part. Don't matter if you were down home for 2 days or 2 months, you know what I mean? Leaving is always the hard part. Once you get a mindset that you got to go and this is your job and we're going to make it work, work your ass off until you get back home, I guess helps out a lot. The different changes out here that I've noticed is traffic and the lack of common sense that a lot of people have out here nowadays. It's just a lot of people run off their GPS and wait until, they tell them to stop instead of looking ahead, kind of looking around the corner, looking down the road a couple of miles and see what's going on yourself. They just depend on a GPS way too much nowadays. It's just, that's why, unfortunately, we got a lot of these multiple car back, rear-ending each other and stuff because, they don't stop until their GPS tells them to stop, or the CB radio is kind of out the window nowadays. That's an old, it's just something that a lot of truckers we need out here, they're like, hey, there's something laying on the road over there, be careful, just a heads up, brotherly. I think the brotherly camaraderie out here is just out the window nowadays.
With the rates where they are and prices of everything else so high, how do you feel like business is going for you this year? And how have you dealt with some of those, high costs and low rates?
We got on this fuel program it's called Quick Q. It's I think it's through Snyder.
Okay.
And they offer us some big fuel discounts that the big companies get, and we're kind of on with that. I think without that, I probably would have been pretty close to shut the doors, and I guess another big way is my wife got a decent job at home now and kind of picks up the slack where it's not being picked up as before out here, which is not a good thing because everybody should maintain themselves. But, just having a good woman at home, I guess, just kind of picks up the slack everywhere else, She does all the computer stuff. I'm just the guy that knows about how many miles I need to run every week. And she's the technical support back home,
I do all the back office stuff.
Messina Holguin there. As noted up top, the M in R&M Transportation, Rene Holguin's sole proprietor business. That work extends to broker customer management, she noted, in addition to accounting and more. Rene manages his regular brokers.
But if it's like new customers and stuff like that, I do all the contracts and the rate cons and all that stuff for him.
And as Messina intimated at the top of the podcast, Rene Holguin's R&M Transportation has also been a vehicle for various family members to get their own businesses up and running toward their own names on their own doors. There's a significant pay-it-forward aspect to Holguin's work with various and sundry among new owners getting into the business for themselves, as he tells it. Yet, mixing family and business isn't always the easiest thing to do, as he notes.
We all got to start somewhere. I had a helping hand by one of her cousins that led me his authority or, leased me on when I first started, so we all need a helping hand. Do I recommend it? No, because family and money is the root of all evil. Per se, there's always a conflict of interest. It's just, you being the younger nephew, telling the older uncle or whatever what to do and how to do it, when to do it. It just don't sit well with family. You know what I mean? You can And I recommend, family staying family,
Yeah.
And just before we ever did anything, I told them, family is family and business is business. If you ain't got the, I'm gonna be pretty blunt. If you ain't got the balls to do that, let's not even start.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of the route we went with my family when I did it. I'm old school. I'm a man of his of my word. A handshake goes a long way in my book.
During your career, have you done any, retirement planning, anything like that? Saving for retirement? Any thoughts on your next step in your career at any point?
Messina, my wife, she does have a few IRAs, there's a few things set away for us. I don't know exactly what they are, but an actual retirement, I do not, but
Okay.
I know she has a few IRAs and a couple of saving accounts that she puts money away into. I guess it's not as much as we'd like it to be, but I guess there's gonna be a little bit, we can eat some beans. we'll eat beans for the rest of our life when we got to.
The Holguins have some time on that score. Renee's 47 today, with no plans to step aside from the W9 anytime soon, that's sure. Congrats to Rene Messina Holguin and R&M Transportation, Trucker of the Month for September in Overdrive's Trucker of the Year competition, putting Holguin in the running for a Bostrom seat for the rig from Trucker of the Year sponsor company Bostrom Seating Commercial Vehicle Group. We're getting down to the end of this year's program with just one more Trucker of the Month for 2024, from which judges will select 3 finalists and an ultimate winner. Find all of our Trucker of the Month profiles and podcasts with the 2024 Truckers of the Month via overdriveonline.com/Trucker of the Year, with hyphens between the words Trucker of the Year. That's overdriveonline.com/Trucker of the Year. I'll post a link to that collection page in the show notes, too, wherever you're listening. Overdrive Radio is on Spotify and SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, Overdrive's Facebook page, and any listening platform, really. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme is Legend of the Snake Man by Marhofer, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Lamech. Terry Two Socks Richardson on bass, keys by Tisha Mingo, Jim Whitehead, and on drums, Mr. Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator, Jasmine Campbell, news editor Matt Cole, executive editor Alex Lockey, and video editors Lawson Rudisell and Andrew Gwynn. We'll see you next week.